Two coworkers, same company, same salary, same start date, both contributing 6% of every paycheck to their 401k for 35 straight years. Never missed a contribution, never made a withdrawal. At retirement, Marcus walks away with $890,000. Jennifer walks away with $490,000. Same job, same salary, same market. A $400,000 difference. Marcus didn't invest smarter. Jennifer didn't make mistakes. The only difference? Marcus knew something about his 401k that Jennifer never did. Something that was never in the welcome packet. Something that HR was never going to sit down and explain over a cup of coffee. Because here's the number the financial industry is counting on you never doing the math on. $400,000. That's the estimated amount the average American worker quietly loses to hidden 401k fees over a 35-year career. Not in a market crash, not through bad decisions. Silently, automatically, one fraction of a percentage point at a time. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the 401k, the retirement vehicle that was never actually designed to make you wealthy, that your employer profits from, and that is draining your future while you watch the balance go up and think everything is fine. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, what to change, and how to stop being the most profitable customer in the room. If you've ever stared at your 401k statement and thought, I've been putting money in for years, why does this balance feel so low? This video is going to make a lot of things click. My name is Rick, and I spend way too much time digging into the financial systems that are supposed to help you, but are quietly engineered to extract from you instead. If you're someone who's doing everything they were told to do, contributing, getting the match, setting it, and forgetting it, but retirement still feels like a moving target, hit that subscribe button and give this a thumbs up. Because what I'm about to show you isn't a conspiracy theory. It's documented in federal law, buried in plan documents nobody reads, and it's costing American workers over $17 billion every single year. Let's go. Section 1. The Accidental Retirement Plan. To understand the 401k lie, you need to understand where the 401k actually came from, because it wasn't designed for you. It's 1978. Congress passes the Revenue Act of 1978. Buried inside in Section 401, Paragraph K, is a small technical provision that allows employees to defer a portion of their compensation, tax-free, into a savings account. Nobody paid much attention to it. Then, in 1980, a benefits consultant named Ted Benna was working on a bonus plan for a corporate client. He read that provision and saw an opportunity. He structured it as an employee savings vehicle, filed it with the IRS, got approval, and called it the 401k. What he built was supposed to be a supplement to pensions, a bonus savings layer for workers who already had guaranteed retirement income. What it became, his words in a 2011 interview, he called it a monster. Here's what you need to understand. Before 1980, if you worked at a major American company for 30 years, you got a pension, a guaranteed monthly payment for the rest of your life. Your employer bore the investment risk. Good market, bad market, your check arrived. The 401k transferred that risk entirely onto you. Your employer no longer guarantees your retirement. They offer a plan, attach a match, which they define on their own terms, and the rest is your problem. This shift moved trillions of dollars of retirement risk from corporate balance sheets onto individual workers. And in exchange, Wall Street got a massive captive pool of retirement savings to manage for a fee, every year, forever. That's the foundation. Now let's talk about the fee. Section 2. The match trap. Let's talk about the employer match, because this is the number one thing HR uses to make the 401k feel like a gift. We match 100% of contributions up to 3%. Sound familiar? Free money. Who doesn't love free money? But buried in your plan document are two words most employees never read: vesting schedule. Vesting means you don't actually own your employer's matching contributions until you've worked there long enough. Here's how it usually works. Cliff vesting. You own 0% of the match until a specific date, usually 2 to 3 years in, and then you own 100% all at once. Leave one day before that cliff, you walk away with 0 of what your employer contributed. Graded vesting, you earn ownership gradually, typically 20% per year over 5 or 6 years. Leave after year 2, you keep 40% of the match and forfeit the other 60%. Now, here's where the math gets brutal. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median job tenure in the United States is 4.1 years. The most common graded vesting schedule takes 5 to 6 years for full vesting. The median American worker changes jobs before they fully earned their employer match. Every single time they leave too early, a portion of that free money evaporates. It goes back into the plan, legally, to be reallocated to other employees or used to offset the employer's future matching contributions. Your unvested match isn't lost, it's just lost by you. According to research from Vanguard, approximately 23% of workers who leave before full vesting forfeit some or all of their employer contributions, billions of dollars in free money forfeited by American workers every year, not through mistakes, but through a structural design they were never fully explained. But wait, it gets worse. Section 3. The Fee Monster. This is the part that becomes $400,000 over a career. Log into your 401k portal after this video and look for a column that says expense ratio on your funds. You'll see numbers like 0.03%, 0.50%, 1.00%, 1.25%. These numbers look microscopic. They are not microscopic. An expense ratio is the annual fee charged by the fund manager to run the fund you're invested in. It comes out of your account every single year, automatically and invisibly. You never write a check, you never see a line item deducted. Your balance just grows slightly slower than it should, and over 35 years, slightly slower compounds into a catastrophe. Let me show you the math. Tyler invests $500 per month into a low-cost index fund with an expense ratio of 0.04%. That's a standard Vanguard or Fidelity index fund. Over 35 years at a 7% annual market return, Tyler accumulates approximately $940,000. Ashley invests the exact same $500 per month, same 7% market return, same 35 years, but her 401k only offers funds with an expense ratio of 1.0%. That 1 percentage point, Ashley retires with approximately $730,000, $210,000, gone. Not to a market crash, not to a bad investment call, to a fund manager who charged her 1% per year and never once called to thank her for her loyalty. And that's one fund. Many 401k plans layer on additional costs: plan administration fees, record-keeping fees, advisor fees. These charges are disclosed, the law requires it, in documents called the Summary Plan Description and 404A-5 Fee Disclosure. Documents your employer is required to make available, not required to hand you, not required to explain, just available, technically, somewhere on the portal. A 2020 Government Accountability Office study found that a significant percentage of 401k participants couldn't accurately state how much they were paying in fees. Why would they? The fees never appear on your quarterly statement as a dollar figure. The fund reports a 6% return. What you never see is that it actually earned 7.2%, and the 1.2% was extracted before the number hit your screen. The financial industry calls this transparency. What it actually is math that requires a second equation to understand, and they're counting on you not doing it. Section 4. The fund menu is not neutral. Here's the piece that most 401k explainers skip entirely, and it's arguably the most important. You don't decide what funds are in your 401k, your employer does, and your employer hired a plan administrator, a record keeper, to curate that fund menu. That record keeper often receives what the industry calls revenue sharing, payments from fund companies to be included on the menu. The funds that pay the most in revenue sharing, they tend to carry higher expense ratios, so the menu you're handed isn't built around finding the best funds for your retirement, it's built around a financial arrangement between parties you've never met. This is legal, this is standard, and this is what ERISA, the Employee Retirement Security Act, is supposed to prevent through its fiduciary duty requirement. Employers are legally obligated to select plan options in their employees' best interests. But the enforcement of this standard, particularly for small and mid-size employers, is notoriously weak. Most HR departments have no investment expertise whatsoever. They outsource the decision to the plan administrator, who has its own financial incentives, and call it done. The result? The Investment Company Institute reports the average expense ratio across 401k plans is approximately 0.45%, but the range is enormous. Some plans run under 0.10%, others run over 1.2%. The workers in high-fee plans are losing hundreds of thousands of dollars compared to workers in low-fee plans across the street, and neither group knows it. You're playing the same game on different fields. Nobody told you the fields weren't the same. Section 5. The default rate is a feature, not a bug. Since the Pension Protection Act of 2006, employers have been encouraged to automatically enroll new employees in their 401k plans. Sounds like a win for workers, right? More people saving automatically. Here's what the press release didn't mention: the default contribution rate. Most auto-enrollment programs set new employees at 3%, sometimes 4%. The financial industry's own research from Vanguard, Fidelity, and academic economists across multiple decades consistently shows that workers need to save 10 to 15% of income throughout their careers to retire with financial independence. 3% is not 10 to 15%. But here's the behavioral trap. When you're auto-enrolled at 3%, that number feels authoritative. HR said it. The system chose it. It must be the right number. Most people accept it and never change it. They spend their entire career contributing 3%, while the retirement math slowly, quietly collapses. This is called status quo bias, the deeply human tendency to keep whatever default we're given, because changing requires action and the default requires none. Plan designers understand this better than almost anyone. The default contribution rate for the vast majority of workers becomes the permanent contribution rate. So why don't employers just set the default at 10%? Because higher employee contributions trigger higher employer matching obligations. The 3% default minimizes the employer's out-of-pocket matching cost while still allowing them to market the plan as automatic enrollment. You were enrolled to save the company money, not yours. The result? Vanguard's How America Saves 2023 report shows the median 401k balance for workers aged 55 to 64, the people on the doorstep of retirement, is approximately $87,000. Think about that number. $87,000. Drawn down over 20 years of retirement, that's roughly $363 per month of supplemental income. Added to the average Social Security benefit of $1,907 per month, you're looking at about $2,270 per month before taxes. The average monthly rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the United States is now over $1,500. Fidelity's 2023 retirement healthcare cost estimate for a 65-year-old couple is $315,000 out of pocket over retirement, and that's assuming no long-term care needs. The math doesn't work. For most Americans, the math of 401k only retirement has never worked. The people who built the system knew the math. They built it anyway. Section 6. The target date fund nobody is watching. If you've never made an active investment selection in your 401k, there's a high probability you're sitting in a target date fund, Retirement 2050, Life Cycle 2045, the fund that automatically shifts from aggressive growth to conservative holdings as you approach retirement. This is sold as the smart, hands-off choice for people who don't want to manage investments. And in concept, it has real merit. But here's what the marketing materials won't tell you. Target date funds vary enormously in cost. Some, from low-cost providers like Vanguard, carry expense ratios of 0.10%. Others, particularly in smaller or mid-sized company plans, carry expense ratios of 0.90%, 0.95%, even over 1%. Same concept, same name, radically different cost. On a $300,000 balance, the difference between 0.10% expense ratios and 0.90% expense ratios is $2,400 per year in fees, every year, compounding against you. Additionally, target date doesn't guarantee a standardized approach. Two 20/50 funds from different providers can have completely different asset allocations. One might hold 90% equities at age 45, another might hold 70%. There is no federal standard for what a 20/50 fund must look like. The fund company decides, and you probably never compared them. Because you were auto-enrolled into a default fund that you accepted without reviewing, that has been quietly charging you every year, while you thought it was handling itself. You might be thinking, Rick, this is a lot. What am I supposed to do with this? And I hear you. Let's fix it. Section 7. The tax trap nobody mentions. One more thing before we get to the solution, because this is the part that reverses the conventional wisdom. The standard 401k argument goes like this. Contribute pre-tax money now, reduce your taxable income today, let it grow tax-deferred, and withdraw in retirement at a lower rate because you'll be earning less. That logic is sound under one assumption, that your tax rate in retirement will be lower than your rate today. But at age 73, the IRS requires you to begin taking required minimum distributions from your traditional 401k, whether you need the money or not. They have been waiting for their tax revenue. Those mandatory withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income. If you've been a disciplined saver and your account has grown significantly, those mandatory distributions can be large enough to push you into higher tax brackets than you ever hit during your working years, large enough to trigger taxation on your Social Security benefits, large enough to trigger IRMA, the income-related monthly adjustment amount, which increases your Medicare premiums. You saved diligently for 35 years to create a larger tax bill in retirement. Nobody mentioned that part. This is why the Roth option deserves serious consideration. Roth contributions use after-tax money. You pay the tax now, but growth and qualified withdrawals are completely tax-free. No RMDs, no Medicare surcharges triggered by forced withdrawals, and if tax rates rise over the next 30 years, which given the national debt trajectory is a legitimate possibility, the Roth option becomes even more valuable. Many plans now offer a Roth 401k alongside the traditional option. Many don't, and even in plans that offer it, it's rarely the default. You were enrolled in traditional because that's what the system defaulted to, not because someone ran your numbers and decided it was right for your situation. That's the pattern across every section of this video. Not malice, not fraud, just a system that consistently, at every default setting, at every disclosure decision, at every fee structure, chooses the path that's better for institutional interests and calls it a choice you made. All right, here's what you actually do with everything we just covered. 5 steps. Start today. Step 1. Find your expense ratios right now. Log into your 401k portal, pull up your fund list, find the expense ratio column. If any fund you hold is charging above 0.30%, you have better options available, almost certainly. Look for the index fund alternatives in your plan. S&P 500 index funds, total market index funds, international index funds. Low-cost index options exist in the vast majority of large plans. If yours genuinely doesn't have anything under 0.30%, document it and go to step 4. Step 2. Check your vesting schedule before your next career move. Find the plan document or ask HR directly. What is our vesting schedule for employer matching contributions? Write down the exact date you fully vest. If you're considering a job change in the next year, calculate the dollar value of unvested contributions you'd forfeit versus the offer on the table. Sometimes the math says leave, sometimes it says wait 8 months. Step 3. Increase your contribution rate above the default. If you're at 3% or 4%, increase it today. Even moving from 3% to 6% can mean a 6-figure difference over a career. If you're under 40 and can push to 10 to 15%, do it now. Your lifestyle will adjust, your future options won't. Step 4. Request your 404A5 fee disclosure document. Under ERISA, your employer is legally required to provide this document to every plan participant. Email HR and ask for it by name. If they don't know what it is or can't produce it, that is valuable information and it may mean your plan lacks meaningful oversight. In that case, supplementing your 401k with a low-cost Roth IRA through Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab, where you control every fund selection, becomes even more important. Step 5. Ask whether your plan offers a Roth 401k option. If it does, have the conversation, preferably with a fee-only financial advisor, not a commissioned rep, about whether paying taxes now makes sense for your timeline and income trajectory. If you're in your 20s or early 30s with significant earning years ahead, the Roth case is often compelling. The 401k is not your enemy. The tax deferral, the match, the automatic saving mechanism, these are real advantages, but they're advantages that have been layered over with 40 years of institutional optimization that benefits the plan administrator, the fund manager, and your employer's bottom line before it benefits yours. Marcus and Jennifer had the same salary, the same market, and the same menu. Marcus chose the low-cost index fund that sat right next to the expensive fund he never clicked on. He checked his vesting date before he accepted his second job offer. He bumped his contribution from 3% to 10% when he got his first real raise instead of leasing a car he didn't need. None of that required a finance degree. It just required reading what nobody told him he needed to read. Now, you've read it too. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Please consult a qualified, fee-only financial professional before making any changes to your retirement strategy. If this video gave you something your HR department never did, hit that like button. It helps this content reach people who need it exactly as much as you did. And subscribe to Rick Untrapped because we're going to keep doing this every single week. The 401k is not the last trap, not even close. I'll see you in the next one.